This is a pretty good hoodie. This is the vlog for January 28th, 2019. And this is a little unusual because I wore this today while I was walking, but I came home and immediately started doing a load of laundry because this thing, I've gotten a lot of use out of it lately, and I don't wash it as much as I do my normal clothes because I think of it as sort of a jacket, and I don't think of myself as washing jackets that much, but it's a shirt, it's a sweatshirt, it's a hoodie. I remember back when I got this, I had forgotten that it said Nintendo right on the front, and I was trying to keep my job quiet at the time, so I tried to play it off like I just like Nintendo stuff. The real story of why I got this particular hooded sweatshirt is that the Nintendo store has a lot of specialty items. It actually has a lot of generic items that just happen to have the Nintendo name branded on them and then sold what would normally be sold at a markup other places, but when you factor in the discount that they give on items at the store, it ends up being about as much as you would pay for it anywhere else if it didn't have the Nintendo name on it. So that's cool. On the other hand, you are never permitted to sell any of the stuff you get at the Nintendo store for a profit. So it's not like I could abuse that. I don't know that that applies to any of the stuff I own that I got from Nintendo. Probably doesn't, now that I'm not an employee. Because it's not against the law, and the worst they could do is fire me, and they've already done that. But I'm going to keep this hoodie for certain. The other kind of item they sell are specialty items, and one that was insanely popular was a green hoodie with brown sleeves designed to look like Link's jerkin from Legend of Zelda. And all of the really nerdy guys that worked in my department went out and got those things, and all you could usually tell who was new because they usually on their first or second paycheck went and bought one of those hoodies, and they were wearing it to work for quite a while after that. I don't really like that kind of gimmicky stuff. I used to. I found this cleaning up my closet. I have a backpack that is a Bowser spiked shell. So if I ever decide to do Bowser for cosplay at a convention or something, I'm set. But I prefer sort of simpler clothing. I like stuff with a funny image on the front sometimes. I like comfortable t-shirts. I like sort of the retro style, putting cartoon characters and stuff on t-shirts. Another shirt that I found while cleaning up my closet that I need to start wearing again is a Link to the Future. It's a Legend of Zelda Link to the Past / Back to the Future shirt that I was smitten with as soon as I saw it and had to have it, and then promptly threw it in my closet. Forgot I had it. So it's in really good condition. I just haven't worn it for like a year. When I was a kid, I was really fond of full sweatsuits. I didn't really understand that they were for working out, or as has become more the case, being lazy and sitting around the house, or being old and retired and sitting around the house. I wore them all over the place. My mom made some. She made them essentially to be pajamas, and then I wore them into public. And I think that was part of how I started to have trouble at school. I've always had difficulty, well, when I was a kid, I had difficulty dealing with people. I didn't understand what the expectations were. I didn't understand why people did certain things. I just knew I liked certain things, and I liked people, and I couldn't understand for a long time that sometimes people just bully each other. And I got bullied a lot. I sort of got past it in Minnesota. I was always into more nerdy stuff than some of the other kids, and because I was always a grade ahead of most everybody else in my neighborhood, I didn't have any friends that were in the same classes that I was in. It got a lot worse when we moved back out here, honestly, and that's not something that I blame my parents for or anything. It sort of just coincided with me entering in middle school when bullying gets really mean and really nasty. And I wasn't wearing sweats to school at that point, thankfully. But I do sort of, how do I put this? When I was a kid and growing up, I sort of associated being around people over time less with happiness and more with shame, more with the idea that I wasn't doing what was necessary to fit in. I didn't understand what it meant to fit in. I didn't understand the importance of fitting in. And when I was by myself, when I was playing with toys or video games or whatever, I didn't feel shame. There was no one to pick on me or judge me or say mean things. You know, bullying doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be shoving people into lockers. It doesn't have to be, knocking them over, tripping them. I had a fair share of that, but a lot of bullying was just verbal harassment. It was just being told that I wasn't, any good, that what the things that I liked were worthless, that kind of thing. And there were times when I, looking back, realized that I was sort of inviting it. But at the same time, the only way to learn how that behavior can be seen as inviting is through hindsight, really. In the moment, if someone tried to tell me what you're doing right now, this is the reason they pick on you. If you didn't do this and it's not that important to you, then they wouldn't pick on you. It was beyond me. To this day, I feel alienated sometimes around people. It's gotten a lot better, though. I think part of it is that all the people who are not picking on you, who are just sort of on your periphery, who don't really interact with you, they're a lot like you. They're just luckier or more quiet about whatever it is that they are interested in that isn't normal. It's the 10% people who are just jackasses that fill your mind and make you think like half the people in school were terrible, and it wasn't like that. That's not the statistic, but I still do feel like I don't get people very well sometimes. But I like the people on television. I get them. I don't know what made me say that. Anyway, I'm not feeling particularly bullied these days. I don't have a lot of contact with people. I've been, pretty isolated. Not that now that I'm not working, but it's probably another reason why I find writing so easy is because I'm not, people aren't coming to me asking me questions or telling me things. I can just focus on one thing. I got through proofing and doing my full pass on the first act of my book, and it didn't take nearly as long as I thought it was going to. I can probably do at least another act tomorrow, but if the weather holds up, I'm going to be out walking a lot. I did a full 2-hour walk today, and I'm pretty sore and pretty tired, so I'm probably going to go to bed pretty quick here. But I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.